you ready to go? Are you excited? This is going to be
I am
great.
ready to go.
Cool. Okay. I will graciously bow out of this experience then, and you will take over the conversation.
All right. So, hi everyone. My name is Ansa, as Catherine mentioned, and I just want to make sure that I'm able to share my screen. So I'm just gonna let me just see. Here we go. Okay. I'm just making sure that I'm able to do this. So, as you can see on the website that was shared, ansaedim.com, I am a professional storyteller. I'm also a marketer. I work in marketing, so it's a pretty easy overlap for me to translate the work that I do for fun into the work that I do for work. So, I'm going to share with you some tips for storytelling in your proposals. So I'm going to share this deck. It should be sharing. It's processing now. Just want to make sure I can do this. Give me 1 second. In any case, while that's loading, I'll kind of get us kicked off on some of the basics. So there we go. Can everyone see my screen here? See the presentation? All right, I'm seeing a yes. Awesome. So I don't write a ton of proposals, but all of us and everything we've done has written a proposal, right? For something or another. We're proposing something. And being able to thank you, Liz. And being able to tell great stories is really what's going to kind of help secure those clients. So we're going to talk about main characters. I have main character syndrome as a storyteller, and I just realized I'm wearing the same sweater I'm wearing in this headshot. It's a comfy sweater. I don't know what I can say. But I will be the main character of this conversation. And so a little bit about me. Like I said, I'm a professional storyteller. I'm an executive marketer, marketing director. I work with high-level executive teams to run brand strategy. And my current organization, I work at Bonterra Tech. And Bonterra is a conglomerate of a bunch of social good tech companies. Previously, I was the head of marketing for change.org. I was there for a few years. If you were in the United States and you signed a petition, you probably got an email from me, change.org. And then also some of my storytelling chops. Why am I qualified to be the main character of the storytelling conversation? So I have performed, as we've seen in the chat, I've performed on the Moth. I've won. So I'm a Moth storytelling champion. I have performed, that's me on stage with the writing, telling that story. I performed in Story District here in Washington, D.C., where I'm based, in several of those shows. And on the lower right-hand side, you can see me performing at the Kennedy Center for Women's History Month. So I know a little bit about storytelling. I'm going to say, you're going to see this slide twice. And I just want to be upfront and say, if you remember nothing else, your stories and your proposals must have these 4 components. Keep these in mind. You're solving a need for your client when you're proposing something. So great storytelling, especially in B2B, it sells emotional and personal value, not just rational. Yes, it makes sense. Yes, you're going to save money, but you've got to hook people with some emotion. You've also got to upgrade your endings. So like I said, when you say something like, well, yeah, this will save you money, that's fine. But this will save you money so that you can save the world, so that you can save lives. That's so much better. Similarly, you can think bigger. When you're talking about great storytelling, we're talking about everything we do is here to create a better world. No matter what you do, you are working towards creating a world you want to live in. I hope, crossing fingers. We're working towards creating a better world we want to live in. Use that to entice people to say, hey, this isn't just you signing a piece of paper or a contract with me. This is you really taking a huge step for your organization. And then always at the end of your conversations, you want to be able to reiterate your point. So you've taken them on this long journey that I'm about to take you through, and you want to reiterate concisely at the end. And I'm going to show you how. So we are 22 times more likely to remember a fact when it's wrapped in a story. And I'm going to tell you how I personally have experienced this in the most random way. There is a show that I watch that I am not ashamed about, but I watch a lot of cartoons when I just need something in the background. So, very specifically, I might watch Family Guy or American Dad, just some kind of mindless television in the background when I need to concentrate on something or just want to kind of zone out. And there is an episode of American Dad in which I will bore you the ridiculous details, but former former president Andrew Garfield is brought back to life to teach a lesson, something, something, something. In this episode, they introduce this character, Charles Godot, and Charles Godot is the person who assassinated Andrew Garfield. I learned that from Family Guy, from watching this whole saga of them having to chase the reincarnated, body of this person. Well, that was years ago. And this morning, as I was driving my dogs to the dog park, I was listening to an episode of Criminal, which is, a great podcast, and with Phoebe Judge. And I love true crime. Who doesn't? We're in this huge era of true crime. And she starts talking about this cult and how this young man joined this organization, and his name was Charles Godot. And I instinctively said out loud as I was driving, "Oh, he's the guy who killed Andrew Garfield." Now, why would I know that? Why is that something that needs to be in my brain? It's not, but I remember because I watched an episode of something that made this hilarious story, and I think I'm the only person on earth that I know who knows this random fact. And it was great storytelling, Molly, especially because this was leading up to Charles Godot doing, yes, exactly. There's Sondheim fans. Charles Godot committing this crime. But the story of Charles Godot from American Dad and from Criminal, the story, the way it was weaved together, I remembered this historical fact. And I think Catherine was mentioning TikTok earlier, that we are learning, and the previous, if you were on the main stage or in the previous session, we are learning things quickly through great storytelling. We're able to remember it, 22 times more likely to remember it. So why stories specifically? So stories humanize brands. Brands are just companies. They're just corporations. They're people who sell things. We're people who buy things. But there's a reason why companies like Dove have all these campaigns about loving your bodies and how important it is to, to love yourself, even though they're selling deodorant, right? But they've got to buy you into the brand, and then you buy their products. They remind us as collaborators working with other organizations that we're just people. We're trying to do our best. We've got the best of intentions. They can also create purpose and propel action. Earlier, I was talking about kind of how we're all trying to save the world or create a better world. These stories bind us to that purpose. They contextualize the problems that we have. Great stories make things stick, like Charles Godot. They influence how people make decisions, like Dove selling deodorant by telling you to love your bodies and having huge campaigns around that. Or the same company also owns Axe body spray. And if you wear Axe, you're going to get a lot of the young ladies. They're trying to convince you of a feeling. You retain infographic information better than text, 3 times better. So I'm going to show you some visuals and hopefully you remember them, because storytelling can be complicated, but it doesn't have to be. They tether us to the same thread. They allow us to see the same picture, and they move us into action. They don't just influence us, but they really challenge us to take action. So yes, Catherine, to your point, Dove is selling soap. You can get soap anywhere, but why do you want to buy Dove? I use Dove soap products very specifically, actually. The very specific white bar of Dove. And why? Because they've got me. So stories usually look like this. If you think about your favorite stories, your favorite books, your favorite movies, your favorite plays, they've got the same story arc. If you remember in school, you might have learned, even in picture books, you might have seen something that was there's an exposition. So we're going to talk about, let's set the scene. Where are we? In Fair Verona, or where are we? Then something happens. There's an inciting incident where something happens that kicks us into action. Maybe there's a death or a war or somebody's dragon got stolen, something. We've got rising action, which drives the plot up to this big crisis. And our hero has to face the crisis and they win. At the climax of the story, we've got the hero on top of the dragon. They have a denouement where they say, I am the hero, I did it, and then all is well in the end. Maybe they sing a tune. It's pretty straightforward the way we tell stories. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. You set the scene, something happens, we're excited about it, and that's good. But what if storytelling was more complex? What if there were a lot more steps? It could look something like this. I know it's small, but I'm going to walk through each of the steps. There is such a thing as a story cycle, as opposed to a simplified beginning, middle, and end. The story cycle helps us think about who are the actors, who are the main characters, who are the players, who's important. What are the stakes? What do they stand to lose if they don't do what you're encouraging them to do? And what is the journey you're taking them on to get there? So back to our really basic examples of soap and deodorant or beer, or think of your favorite ads. When they paint a picture of a young teenage boy running through, I'm thinking of, this is the first thing that comes to mind. He's running through the woods and one of the first Axe body spray commercials. And he's really, really dorky and he trips. And all these Amazonian women, these beautiful women come and find him. And oh, good thing he has Axe. Because if he didn't have it, who knows where he would be? It's silly, it's ridiculous, but it works. Similarly to showing people what they could have. Another, I swear I will never run out of examples of deodorant and body spray ads because they're the easiest ones to kind of point out that they're really trying to sell you a lifestyle, beer, these types of things. But think about the ads where there's the body wash. You've got the herbal essence. You're washing your hair. Oh, and it's so amazing. Oh, if you didn't use herbal essence, you would not have this shower experience. We guarantee it. And you really want the shower experience. So you should probably buy our products. Those are really loose stakes. What do you stand to gain? What do you stand to lose? So the cycle can look something like this, where the exposition turns into a backstory. We got the hero. We introduced the main character. What are the stakes? What do they kind of have on the line if they don't do something or if they do something? They've got a decision to make. There's a disruption. Something happens where they can't actually do the thing they're supposed to be doing. And who is driving that disruption? We've got the antagonist. So I'm thinking of Snow White. Snow White is born and she's beautiful and she's meant to be this amazing princess, let's say. And what she has to lose if she doesn't do that is she doesn't get to be a princess. The queen, the evil queen, hears about this and says, that's not going to happen. I'm going to disrupt that journey for the hero. And that's how you know that the queen in the story is the antagonist. So maybe in a proposal, it's the antagonist is a competitor. You've got a mentor. That's you. You're writing the proposal and you're saying, hey, you don't want to be in trouble with this competitor. So you've got to come to me so that you can maintain your hero journey. I'm going to take you on that journey and help you fight the competitors to get to the better victory. You're going to learn something. And then you're going to keep doing it because now that you've learned that you should go with us and not the other people, you're going to stick with us. You're going to buy more of our products. You're going to work with us again. So you start to see how we expand on this beginning, middle, and end to this journey where it keeps going. It's a cycle. They will come back to you time and time again because they feel like a hero and they treat you like a mentor. So, simplified, we've got the who are we? Who's the hero? That's the client. What do they have at risk? What could they stand to lose if they don't work with you? What's the problem they're trying to solve? What's disrupting them? Who's the competition and why are they not right for them? Who's the mentor? That's you. What journey are you taking them on? It's either the proposal you're writing or the conversation you're having. What does victory look like? What does winning look like? And what is the moral? What is something new that they would learn by working with you? And what is the ritual? So, what will they be doing moving forward now that they're working with you? Do we have any questions here? I'm looking at the chat, lots of excitement for herbal essences. But yeah, I see loving the hero's journey for the clients. Imagine all your students passing their courses is exactly right. These are the stakes. If you don't work with us, your students might be less likely to pass their classes because they're not using our products. Does anyone else have any ideas of stakes? You can just drop it in the chat if you'd like. I see, yep, Ben, we're selling people on a transformation. We're taking them on a journey. All right, I'm going to keep going unless there are any questions because I have more. So what does this look like when you're thinking about a proposal? We can kind of boil it down to these 4 basic steps. The setup then includes the characters. So where are we? Who are we? We've got, oh yes, thank you. There is a Q&A. We've got the main characters. It's you, it's the competitors, it's the client. We've got the hook. What's the problem we're trying to solve? Your students can be doing better. There is a problem. Your students could be doing better, and they're not. What's stopping them? What is the specific barrier that's creating this problem? Is it that you don't have access to the right technology? And then there's a moment of truth in your proposal. How can you uniquely solve that problem? This is where you position yourself as different from the competitor, as more skilled, more experienced, better technology, newer technology, we're a subject matter expert. In those 4 steps, you've got it. Who are we? What problems do we solve? Here's how we help you face those challenges. And here's how we help you solve them uniquely. What this doesn't look like is something like this. And you can't read it on purpose because it's lengthy and ridiculous. What it doesn't look like is something like, our company is called Dreamscape, and we help people sleep better. And it doesn't start with once upon a time in a world where sleep seemed like a distant dream. Heroes came along, Dreamscape. It's not this kind of ridiculous, high level fantasy. It is still reality that we're living in. But what it would sound like is something like this. Let's say your company is called Dreamscape and you have this new product. Or your company is called Nimbus Sleep Solutions and your new product is this Dreamscape. So the setup. Meet the team behind Nimbus Sleep Solutions. We're a group of passionate dreamers who are determined to revolutionize sleep. That's who we are. The hook is something like, we address the widespread problem of sleep deprivation. We offer a solution that guarantees restorative sleep for millions. What are some of the barriers those people are facing? We know that your customers suffer from chronic insomnia and it's impacting their health and productivity. So again, you're positioning yourself as we know your clients. We know, doctor or organization, that your customers are really struggling with insomnia. And we know that it's impacting their health in these ways. So we can uniquely solve that problem with Dreamscape. We've got this product. It's a groundbreaking mattress, and it combines advanced sleep science, personalized ambient soundscapes, and AR dream scenarios, ensuring a tranquil and immersive sleep experience for your customers and the world. So the idea here is that it can be that simple, right? This you can go into details in your proposal to maybe go out to every the details. How do I know so much about chronic insomnia? How do I know your customers are having their health and productivity impacted? Those are the details, but you would want to start with these basic elements. If you have these four basic elements down, you can sell. Yes, I'm looking at the chat. Researching the clients, researching their customers is really what's going to help you stand out. And in the moment of truth in number 4, how you uniquely can help them, you'll know that because you've done your research. So there are some basic do's and don'ts in storytelling, especially, I stand on a stage. I don't have visuals. I am the visual. So I'm usually kind of, moving my hands a lot. I'm standing around. Catherine has seen one of my shows, but when you're talking about in business, especially B2B or B2C, you don't want to use too much jargon or business speak. I always say start with the simplest, most down to earth language you can use. And you can always doctor it up, but you don't want to have to feel like you have to put so much energy into this very technical speak only for people to ask you to dumb it down for them. You don't want to do that. Start with the very basics. What problem am I solving? Answer those questions from the previous slide first. This is very basic language. We're not talking about this kind of like advanced technology in detail. We're just saying it exists. You don't want to focus too much on yourself or your brand or your organization. In the beginning, when you do your setup, when you're setting up the story and doing the exposition, that's enough. Here's who we are. Here's what we care about. Maybe a little bit about our experience and why we're subject matter experts. But the rest of your proposal is about the customer. It's about the client. Here is what we know about you. Here's the challenges we know you're facing. And here's how we can help you change the world, solve your problems, get better sleep. You don't want to leave plot holes. Plot holes in storytelling can be jumping from one point to the other without making a clear connection between the two. You don't want people to be reading your proposal and say, wait a second, how did we get here? And lastly, you don't want to overcomplicate the story. Keep things light, keep things easy. As you all might know, in business to business and in any type of selling conversation, you're selling yourself as a personality, you're selling your company, and it helps to keep things light. Keep things straightforward. Don't make people confused with plot holes or complications or jargon. What you do want to do, yes, exactly. Sorry, I'm just looking at Stephen's comment. Simple language is more accessible. You might think you know who's reading your proposal, but you never know. So keep it simple. What you do want to do is use visuals if you can. So you don't want to use very complicated visuals, like that will overcomplicate the story. But if you can, if it makes sense for what you're proposing, use visuals, paint a picture, make it clear. Know your audience. Summarize your story up front. Here's who we are, here's what we do, here's the problems we solve, and we'd like to work for you. Start strong with that. And then at the end, you don't want to leave too much for interpretation. Put it all out on the line. You don't want people to say, I feel like they might be right for us, but I'm not sure if they work with people like us. That should be clear. And I'm just catching up here Principles that are good to reinforce, yes, for sure. Um, and then you also building confidence with your team, making sure that your team is also all speaking the same language. When you build your team's story, that is what I like to do. It could be called a team charter. It could be called a team story, your brand story, whatever it is. Make sure that everyone can do that. One thing that I like to do with organizations is if I ask people if I put 10 random people from your company in 10 different rooms, and I asked each of them what the purpose of this company was, how would they answer? Would they all answer the same? Or would they have a different story, each of them? You would hope that they would all say, oh, yeah, we do this thing. Um, excuse me. That's a good point. Thank you, Stephen, for pointing this out. That is a don't that I wasn't sure if I wanted to include. Correction, and I'll make sure this is corrected before it's sent out. But yes, you don't want to leave room for interpretation. But yes, you want to make sure that everyone in your organization, everyone on your team is speaking the same language about what problems you solve. Granted, those problems might be different for different clients and different customers, but you want to make sure that everyone has the same story to tell. Lastly, I'm going to reiterate this before we get into Q&A. Reiterating that these stories should always solve a need. Something is happening and people are really interested. And people are really interested in what you sell, yes, but what is it going to do for them? What am I going to get out of this? Am I going to get soft hair so that everyone will love me as I flip invisible hair? Am I going to get all the ladies chasing me? Am I going to be able to drive more safely in my Subaru so that my kids feel protected? What am I getting out of this? You want to upgrade your endings and think bigger. We are saving the world one child at a time. We are increasing productivity one mattress at a time. And then work to a resolution. You've summarized in the beginning, and at the end, you want to tie it all together always. Don't leave it as a don't. Don't leave room for interpretation. Don't make people read a bunch of text only for them to say, so what do I do now? Reiterate your overall point at the end. My overall point is reiterated here. There are 4 basic steps to storytelling, and there are 4 basic things that you should always remember. Questions? I'm going to pass this.
Hey,
all right.
Ansa, this was absolutely delightful. This is a topic that we actually touch on with some frequency in the proposal space, and I really like what you brought into the conversation today, which is about. I liked how you gave us example products that aren't necessarily like that's something that really stuck with me because one challenge that we have in our space is that we're selling things like IT software or like stuff that isn't particularly like splashy, right? Or it's difficult to make it fashionable or cool when it's like, check out this environmental site assessment, right? It doesn't have the same kind of vibe as some of these other products. And so I think for me personally, I struggle to tell a story because I don't always know, it doesn't seem romantic, right? It just seems like, okay, this is a task we do. But part of what I've personally started leaning into a lot more has been the conversation about, how does the customer achieve their goals and look really good to their boss. So I try to put myself into the position of somebody who's like buying my software, and then the story that they can tell their boss about how well their whole situation went, and then that tends to help me be more successful. Okay, we do have a couple questions.
Ooh, can I say something first, though?
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel you. I've been working in tech for most of my career, and selling software is not always sexy, but everything we buy and sell is to solve some need. And it's not always, it could be, like we have to comply. So we need this software to, but it can be like, you've got to comply. And why not use our software to do it? Because it makes it easier and faster. And I know you hate this task. So we've made it so much easier and faster to do. So there's a way to kind of spice up and zhuzh up your, you have to use a CRM. You've got to figure out how to manage your clients. And I know you're using Excel. So we're gonna make sure
Yes. And we'll make you the hero of this tale, right? Underling in this
you
small
are the
department.
hero.
You're the person who's going to get all the credit. And yeah, I think there's something really, really special about that narrative. Really great questions here. I'm going to start with Molly's and go to Mayhawk's, and then we'll circle back around to Ben's. So Molly says, often with government proposals, evaluators are not reading them cover to cover. Absolutely. They skip around and look for certain things to check off, or different evaluators are reading each section of one proposal. So how do you think you could tell your story so they'll get the whole picture, even though they don't read the whole proposal?
This is an excellent question. And this goes back to, thank you for asking. This goes back to kind of summarizing at the top. If there is a way to do a cover page or a quick summary, using those 4 steps of who we are, what problems we can help you solve, and how we can do that uniquely, boom. If you could summarize that and make sure that it is prominent and that everyone can see it, even if it's something like a box. I mean, this is different companies are different. Like proposals aren't always like the flashiest, most fun things. I work in marketing, so they are actually flashy and fun. But even if it's just kind of a box at the top of every page, that's like, reminder, this is who we are, So I'll give an example of a resume where I was just updating my resume because I'm always updating my resume. And it was several pages, which is ridiculous. I am too young to have a multi-page, resume. And I was like, what is this? Nobody's going to read this. So I was trying to like cut it down, but it still had to be a couple of pages. And so what I did, knowing that one person's going to look through it, I have a header on every page that is my name, and my contact information on every page. And it's kind of cool looking. It's, it's a different font and it doesn't take up too much space. But if you're flipping through, I included a page for references. I included a page for my cover letter. I was being very fancy. If you're flipping through, you're always going to be hit with the Ansa on every single page. So if you're writing a really long proposal and you know that somebody is not going to sit through and read the whole thing, make sure your important key information is summarized at the top and reiterated at the end.
May I also say, we had a really good session yesterday. So if y'all weren't here for this, I advise you to go back and look at the recording when you have time. What comes to mind immediately for me is this concept of the anchor graphic. And everybody looks at that anchor graphic that describes the full process, and then maybe they skip off into their own sections to like do their evaluations. But I think that there might be an opportunity to use the graphic design here as well to reinforce those concepts. Exactly what you're saying, like you had an anchor graphic in your header. And I'm curious if we could also do like parts of the proposal process in that as well. I think that's a really compelling idea. Okay, great. Let's see. So we got to Molly's. Mayhawk. This is a conversation that we're having all throughout this conference, which is really fascinating to me. But some proposals have simple yes or no questions with a field for adding descriptions or comments only when they're required. So some of the drop downs might be, meets requirements, partially comply. How do we tell stories in an Excel document?
Ooh.
That's a spicy one.
That's a great question. So I ran into this recently because I'm writing a book and pitching my book proposal and pitching that. I have this like beautiful, Word document that's formatted just right. And then I go to pitch to a specific agent and they say, fill out this form. And I'm devastated because I put so much energy into my, multiple paragraphs. And they have a 500 word or 500 character limit for each section. And I have to really figure out how to organize this. So this is not an uncommon problem, having to figure out to tell a story in limited space and limited options. So if you're only given a yes or no option, then you don't have much of an option, right? But there may be sections in those forms for you to add extra information. add more. And even if there is a small space to do it, this is where knowing your story, knowing your story and knowing your pitch comes in handy. I used to get business as a personal branding consultant. Oh, thank you, Crystal. I painted it myself. I used to get business as a personal branding consultant by going to networking events and asking people, what do you do? And I would go to shake their hand and they would say, and I'd say, here's my card, because you should be able to answer that question in one sentence easily. My name is so-and-so, and I solve this problem for these people. Boom. And if you're
incredible.
Right, if you've really honed in on who you are as an organization and what problems you're here to solve, you should be able to, in a sentence or two, wow them with your story.
I love that tie-in for the elevator pitch. And I love that that was your practice. You are very bold. And I think that's spectacular.
I stand on stage and talk about my personal life. So
that's incredible. That's incredible. Okay, we do have time for one more question. If you have additional questions, Ansa's comments or contact information will be included here in the post show.
I see Amy has a question here. Yes, go ahead.
So let's talk about how do you navigate presenting the storytelling element in proposals and marketing materials in practice to senior leadership?
Oh yeah. So to senior leadership, this might be a clarifying question that's not relevant, but my first thought is this your senior leadership, or is this a customer or client that you're talking to?
Yeah. So Sabrienne, if you could clarify for us, I'm going to assume that it's going to be internal because that's where we run into a lot of barriers.
Yeah.
Like our own senior leadership, and then until Sabrienne tells us otherwise.
I think it still goes back to being able to have a quick pitch. So the way that I think about working with executives and senior leadership, which I do in marketing on a regular basis, is they don't have a lot of time and they really need to get to the point. I'm snapping my finger. I don't know if you can see, but they're very much like, get to the point. What is this for me? So sometimes what I do is I think to myself, what does the CFO need to hear for this to be a yes? What does the chief marketing officer need to hear for this to be a yes? What does the CEO need to hear for this to be a yes? And what does the chief sales officer? Like you just go through it because it could be different for each of them, and have one sentence ready for each. What does this person in their role, not even before you get to their personality and their busyness, in their role, what problem am I solving for them? The CFO needs to know that this is cost effective. The chief marketing officer needs to know that this is going to bring in new business. The CEO needs to know that this is going to help us hit our bottom line. What do they need to know? So in presenting to senior leadership, just know your audience and remember that tenet from storytelling.
We have a lot of research to do as proposal people, both for internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. And this has been extremely illuminating for me. I hope everybody in the audience feels the same way. How do we get a hold of you if we want? Because again, we didn't get to all the questions. I'm so sorry. There are some really good ones there. So number one, you might be hanging out in our proposal industry experts community from time to time, right?
Yes, you can find me in the Pi community anytime. Reach out to me there. I know my information. From a business standpoint, you can find me on LinkedIn. From a personal standpoint, for storytelling, I have a website you can contact me through as well, and it's ansaedim.com.
Thank you so much. It was really a delight. We will see you throughout the conference, I hope today. Thank you, friend. And we are headed off to our next sessions. So just so everybody knows, we're about 1 minute behind. Not a big deal. We are about to launch into a live networking session. If you're interested in doing one-to-one networking, I'll be there hanging out, 5-minute networking chats with folks that are throughout the conference. So come hang out with us there. If you don't want to do that, there's 2 other options. You can do networking for introverts, which Rochelle, Ray, Stacy Smith, and we've got one other person, I'm so sorry, I don't remember who it is, who is doing a networking for introverts session where we're all going to type into the chat and get to know each other so you don't have to feel nervous about talking to somebody live that you've never met. It's accommodating for you. If neither of those networking opportunities seem exciting to you, we do have a really incredible pricing seminar with a Q&A with Mark Wainwright, who is one of our top pricing experts about how to be more persuasive and actually create new pricing scheme for your proposals to help you be more successful. So that's what we're headed off into. Go forth and conquer. We'll see you in the next session. And thank you again, Ansa. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.